Good evening.
Hello, hello. Hello,
How are
everyone.
you?
Hello, man. I'm fine.
Welcome in our channel. Who don't know you? Let's present yourself. I leave you this hard job.
Okay, yeah. Thank you for having me. I'm Lag. I make music. I make techno predominantly. I also play music when there isn't a global pandemic on, and I don't know what else to to say about myself. I do certain kind of like I try to do all kinds of techno, but I guess I'm most known for some broken style of techno, which is close to the old school Slovak style, and I play for Dex. My last pre-COVID gig was in Berghain, and I love my job and I miss it very much. And since COVID started, I started streaming a lot and also doing feedback sessions where people send me music and I listen to it and then I give them usually I think bad advice, but I try my best to say something useful and help them out because hopefully a year from now, they'll be making music that I will like and be playing in my sets. So I would stop there.
Okay, I right now send it your Twitch link. Like these people can follow you when you are going streaming because also now Lag is streaming. Yeah, I
Yeah,
read
thank you.
an interesting article about your Berghain set, last gig on Berghain.
Yeah, that was my first gig in Berghain. I managed to squeeze in 2 gigs before this whole thing drew to a halt. And yeah, that was a weird one because I didn't know that it was gonna blow up as much as it did. I literally just wanted to share my experience with people, and the article doesn't speak about what's inside. Thank you for the host of One Viewers, Popsitum. Um, I basically just wanted to share my experience, like how it feels to play this legendary place. So I didn't go into what happens inside. I didn't go into the secrets of Berghain and stuff like that. The entire article was written as like this is how this is how it felt for me who sort of stepped inside of like first of all it influenced techno, which was a big part of my life for such a long time, and then I got to experience what it means to be inside of Berghain, which is also sort of a very special experience, especially in that time when literally tracks were being produced for its acoustic and its sentiment and everything, and the sound system. Um, and I've so wanted to play there for a long, long time, so it felt special. And I actually managed to play the set that I wanted to play. Like I managed to represent what I do in a nice fashion. So I was happy about it, and I wanted to share that experience with people. And I didn't. I had no idea that it would like. I knew it was a bit clickbaity and that people will be drawn to it, but I had no idea that people would respond to it in such a way, and that also um, it would get such recognition that like DJ Mag shares it, Mixmag shares it, a lot of other portals shared it, and then other people asked me to talk about it some more. But I already, I actually at some point I got worried that I did something wrong, um, and because Bergen likes its secrecy, and I actually reached out to them,
Yeah,
and
this is a little problem. When I'm reading the
yeah,
article, I'm asking myself. what Berghain organizer are thinking, because they usually want to keep secret everything about Berghain.
Yeah.
What happened there remain there.
Yeah,
Don't
well,
shake it out.
the thing is that they were they read the article and they know that it's only my inner perception of things. So I didn't talk about Berghain. I didn't talk about what it looks inside, what's the backstage. Literally, the entire article was techno, the sound system, and
Yeah.
the connection with the crowd, and my inner journey, like getting there, playing the set, what it felt like after the set, and that's it. So, but still, they said something that was like that. They don't like any, like, whether it's good marketing or bad marketing, that they don't want anything. So I try not to. I'm happy to mention it like this, but I try not to, like, that article, that link is not in my press pack. I don't want to use that, even though it did give me a lot of exposure and a lot of visibility, for which I'm thankful for and I feel lucky for it. I don't want to push it as something that is like, look at this, that this was popular or whatever.
Yeah, mainstream. He's going after mainstream, popular, and maybe like that after he's going for another kind of idea about Berghain.
Yeah, Helena asked, was that Berghain set recorded? No, it wasn't, and I'm happy that it wasn't. There's something special about DJ sets in the place, not only in Berghain, but every DJ set was played. It's always a dialogue, and it's a dialogue between you and the people who are there, in that energy, in that mood, in that sound system, and everything. I remember playing a set in Grismühle, which was, if you just heard the recording of the set, it was a great set.
Huh?
But
where I can find the record of the set?
No. There's no recording of that set. But I'm just saying, theoretically, if you heard the recording of that set, it would be a great set. But it was so actually bad. It was so disconnected from the people there, that I don't consider it to be a good set, because it was like, musically it was great, but the problem was that I actually slept all night, and then I had breakfast, and then I came to the club to play, and I was playing for people who have been up and dancing for the entire night. So it was actually a disconnect in energy. Yeah.
Setting.
It's a very disconnected, actually, from it wasn't a dialogue. So I think I don't like the idea of recording sets in general, because I think that's what's special about techno, is like this dialogue that you can create
between,
by
the people who is dancing and you that you are the DJ.
And
this is something important.
It's there. It's in that moment, and it sounds. There are different sound systems. There are sound systems which are they have very slow response to transients in low frequencies. So then I will choose tracks which aren't as bass heavy as. I'm not gonna play like Regis Her Surrender on that sound system, but I am going to play the Tim Taylor and Damon Wild Bang That Acid, because it has so much space between the kicks and stuff like that. So my entire set might be shaped by the way the sound system works, for example. Or if there's a lot of reverb, I will probably play a slower set to allow the reverb time of one kick to die out, so that it doesn't choke out the next kick.
It's not easy to play in different club with the different sound system.
Yeah, you have to adjust.
People usually don't think about that.
Yeah. It's you have to adjust, and again, it's always a moment between you and the people at that time in that place. So having a recording of a set is usually it's a weird it's sort of something put outside of its context, and I'm great. I don't like if I see. I often, if I start playing a set, I will check if someone is recording it. I will look behind the mixer to see if the record out is connected to anything, and I will ask the technician to disconnect it so that I don't think about the set being recorded or released anywhere later on. But at the same time, you have to record some sets and to put them out. So I do record home sets. But like Susa in my chat says, home recorded sets are also a bit pointless because it's about the dialogue. For me, at least. For some people, it's about the story. You tell a story and then the people can enjoy it or not. But I really like the dialogue aspect of it. And it was always about sort of inclusivity. Even though one person is dictating the music, you are sort of a part of the story being told. And you get to dictate it a little bit with your cheers or lack of cheers. So recording sets at home is also quite agonizing because I don't know who I'm talking to. There's no feedback. There's no response.
Easy to record a set
Yeah.
podcast alone.
But you do it and then you release it, and you know.
Okay, I want to ask you some particular question.
Okay.
Okay, let's start with the first one. I want to know what's keep you motivated and interested in your work. Just I translate the Italian question for the guys who is following us. Abbiamo appena chiesto ai ragazzi, cioè ragazzi, abbiamo appena chiesto al Lag cosa lo lascia ancora motivato nel lavoro. Un saluto intanto ragazzi, buonasera e grazie di essere venuti qua. Okay, Lag, please, let's answer.
Okay, so I genuinely this is gonna get very deep very quickly. I'm an atheist. I don't believe that there is any higher power. And I think that it is incredible luck that I got to be alive and to live this this life. And one of the things that I enjoy the most is music. And I feel that I've gotten... first of all, I don't think that life should all be easy and nice feelings and good emotions and easy going and stuff like that. I know that it's supposed to be very, very hard, and
It's really hard, yeah.
and I've actually gotten a lot of joy from music, not only techno but music in general. It's helped me amplify my emotions, guide my emotions, understand things, connect to people, connect to cultures, understand cultures, just purely enjoy myself as well. And I've gotten so much from music that I feel like I owe the world to give back in whatever way possible. If I also manage to live off of it, that's amazing. But, if I have to get a day job at some point to survive, I don't mind doing that. I just know that I will never give up on trying to give back when it comes to music in any space or form. Like when I started, it was like, okay, I like DJing, but if they're like, the scene can survive without DJs, it cannot survive without producers. Like it's all about the
It's
product.
important
Yeah.
that we have the DJs, but also the producers. Because without producers, there isn't any gig, any DJ set.
Yeah, exactly.
How do you play?
Exactly. So it was very early on. It was very soon after I got my first turntable that I started reading the manual for Reason. which was the software that I
Really
had.
hard reason.
No, it's not. It's very easy. It's just different. It's different than from what
maybe
you're
that's
used
why.
to. It's different from what you're used to, and that makes it a bit confusing. But it's very easy actually, and it's also very fast. I just like to make things complicated. I would make things complicated if I was using Live as well.
Because like this is better.
So
When it's going complicated, you want to play. You are more excited to do this work, maybe. Or that's what I want to say. You don't like easy work.
Yes and no. Sometimes I don't see the forest from the tree, as they would say. Like I would get. I've actually had several people who are in arts who gave me this advice, who told me, like, basically you don't see the stuff that's in front of your nose because you're trying to look for something complex. But that's a struggle that I have to learn how to cope with. But yes, if the question is what motivates me, it's basically I feel like I have a debt towards the music scene and to all the people who are creating art, but also people who are not creating art and who are making my life easier, and who might enjoy art. So or craft. Let's not call all music art. Let's say craft, and let's say that I like making craft, which will make someone maybe dance or enjoy themselves. So
Yeah, no. Sure, we are enjoying your sound, and I can think and say this because usually when I'm going many clubs, I have the pleasure to listen sometimes your tracks played from different DJs. Also, when I'm talking with other clevers, they usually know your name.
Yeah.
That's why I'm thinking that your career started. I don't know exactly when, but from when I discovered you as a DJ and producer, I said, okay, this guy I must follow him.
thank you. I actually have a question in chat from Moondancer. She's asking, what do you prefer,
okay,
DJing
yeah.
or music
Let,
making? I don't have a preference. I genuinely DJing is my reward, sort of, but production is work. Like with DJing, they both have different things where they are challenging but also rewarding. With DJing, it's more about travel and stuff like that, which is challenging and it's taxing and it's annoying. But when you do get to DJ, it's at a certain point where you get good technical conditions to do your job and can just let loose and do whatever the hell you want. DJing is just pure fun, and I enjoy it, and it's my sort of meditation. It's the one time where I turn off my brain and I just
just focus on your passion, on your feeling. Maybe
Yeah.
I don't know exactly.
Exactly. There's a concept that I recently read about by Karl-Heinz Stockhausen, who was he was a musical theorist after World War II, prominent, had very good ideas, and one of the concepts was supraconsciousness, which is basically you have instinct and then you have consciousness, and when you learn enough things and then let go, your instinct is also infused with knowledge. So instinct is this like what's built into you, what you're born with, but then there's also the knowledge that sort of gets infused into it. So when I'm DJing, I have this sort of flow where you're just riding a sort of a wave of feelings, but also knowing certain things and using the algorithms that you've taught yourself cerebrally and consciously to use when it comes to thinking about music. When it comes to making playing music, I mean. But when it comes to making music, it's completely opposite. It's just a struggle. It's always me fighting against the new challenge that I put in front of myself. But then when it's complete and when it works, or when you find a solution to some sort of when you find a last puzzle piece that you were struggling so hard to find, like if you're having trouble with the arrangement or some idea or something, like Chad had, when I was making music on Twitch, I would get stuck, and then a few times Chad would say like, insert a cowbell, like more cowbell, which is like a Saturday Night Live meme, very very old one, but it's a fun one. And I add a cowbell and some effects to it, and I would end up actually like, okay, this now completely opens up my track, and now I have one more like dimension to use to create progress and flow through my track. So having moments like this, these are little euphoric moments that you don't actually get to have in DJing. So they both have their I can't pick a favorite, because they both have their like this strenuous element that wears you down but also rewards. Someone just redeemed a reward on the channel saying more cowbell. But yeah.
No, usually I join your stream and it's beautiful to look you how to work. Because, for example, I'm not a producer or a DJ. Then for me, it's all a discovering session.
Yeah. Thank you.
Here is just one question from my chat.
Mm-hmm.
They want to know, what do you think about the evolution of the music, and if you are enjoying the change from techno to trance?
I don't. So
Feel free to say what you want here.
No. I'm just trying to structure this in a way. I was always I'm always a contrarian in some way, and for some reason, I don't know why, but I'm always a contrarian. And there's every time, so experience has taught me the following. Every time there's a shift in a trend, I first resist it, and I think I resisted because it's young and it sort of it's still raw, and it still lacks the finesse that usually attracts me to a certain genre. And then when time passes, I discover things that really that I would really enjoy, because they're so well crafted. So I don't really care if it's trance or if it's house or if it's minimal. Like I used to hate minimal because it was just, first of all, it was around the time where everything switched to digital. So the dirt of analog that I grew up on and grew to love was gone. Everything was quantized, so the groove was gone. They were all trying to sound like Richie Hawtin. So it was just like the market was saturated by one and the same hyper-produced stuff. But then, like, anything that I play from Villalobos these days, I so much enjoy. The production is so good. It's so organic. It's so groovy. I absolutely love all that. And I loved it even before the minimal thing.
It's true. There is some DJs or producers that they made soundtracks that these tracks still alive in the time, never die.
Yeah,
I think.
So it's always down to I've learned to not look at a genre and then say I like or dislike this genre, but rather to just look at individual tracks and judge by the tracks. A rule of thumb is usually whatever is in right now will just have a big hyper production streak, which will end up basically creating a lot of garbage. which doesn't
Yeah,
mean
this
that.
is maybe the problem when
Yeah.
people creating garbage
Yeah.
and many different products all near to be same altogether.
Yeah.
You don't find some difference.
Yeah, so it's I don't have anything against the genre, but I find it difficult to find tracks in there that would be appealing to me to play in a set, especially because I feel like it's full on music, and because I play 4 decks, I usually skip the tracks, whether it's trance or industrial techno or whatever kind of techno. If there are too many elements, then I can only play that track, and I don't get to have fun by playing another track and layering it up on top of this track. So there's a lot of that in the trance releases right now, like a lot of tracks which are sort of self-sufficient. They're not tools, they're songs. They tell a story all by themselves and stuff like that. So I don't really find room for them in my sets. But I'm sure that there are really, really good tracks which would fit other people's sets. And I'm sure that with time, especially when people move away from that to something else, when they move from from hard trance to whatever the next fad is, then the people who really, really love making trance techno will stay, and they will not be obscured by the onslaught of the factory produced
DJ mode that they're following the trend.
Yeah, so I think I usually have that. Like, I used to not like dubstep, and then when it died, it opened because all of these people who were just hyper producing stepped away and moved on to something else. And then all these producers who are really, really interesting suddenly became visible for me. And I started so much loving their stuff. And I still love Iconica and all that entire scene and the Vexed guys. And it's just a matter of quality, like good music versus bad music, and no genre, except for maybe Shrunts. No genre I can say this is bad music. So I have no problems with hard trance, honestly.
Okay. Let's look if there is another question from the chat. Okay, the boy who asked me the question is laughing. He liked you. Okay. The other question is when you deciding that a track is finished, before you talked about your producer session when you stream.
Yeah, so one of the more difficult things is for me, I have a big problem with overproducing the track, which is not to say like I end up with a product which I absolutely enjoy, but it's not a DJ product. I grew up listening to a lot of different styles of music, and techno is the only genre which sort of, it's not designed to be listened to on itself. It's more designed to be used as a tool, in the same way that if you play a chord on a guitar, this chord can have vastly different meanings depending on what was the chord played before it and the chord after it. Was it played aggressively, gently? Is it played in a certain rhythm? Are you playing it, was the chord already in the song before that, or is it a new thing? Is it a modulation? So in the same way techno tracks are used as chords would be used in smaller tracks, and you use them to tell your own story as a DJ. So whenever I DJ, I will lean towards the tracks which are actually quite loopy and they don't say that much. So that leaves room for me to tell my story because they're so predictable and they're so it's just like one emotion frozen in time, and I can use that emotion to superimpose it onto some other emotion or whatever. But when I make music, because I grew up listening to so much, I listen to, and I still do, pop music and punk and hip hop and IDM and drum and bass and progressive house and stuff like that. I've listened to way more music that tells a story than to music which is a tool that captures and freezes an emotion and presents it to you as a tool. So I have this problem where I will make something that would be great for techno, but then my brain wants to create a song for it. So instead of making a track, it wants to make a song. And this is my big struggle. And ironically, the tracks that I'm happiest with and that I play the most, people don't really like that much. Like, they always explode on the dance floor. They always get a great response on the dance floor, but people tend to gravitate towards the tracks that I make which actually tell a story. And I'm only satisfied with them when the story is told and it's all finished. And people seem to really like those, and those are the ones that I'm more known for. But I prefer the other ones. Like, I don't even play Controlla. I rarely play Samodoma. I rarely play Stari Grad. All the tracks that people really like because they do tell a story. I rarely play them because they have all these moments where then you become unable to move outside of the mix and into a different track, but you have to let them tell the entire story. So it's basically oh, Bella, thank you for the raid. We just got raided by a bunch of viewers.
Thank you,
Bella. Thank you for the raid.
For like,
Yeah, I hope the album is progressing nicely. Thank you for the raid. So the short answer to the question would be, if it comes to deciding when a tool is finished, that's very, very difficult for me, because I always feel like I need to tell a story. But if it comes to like a song being produced, like something that does tell a story, it just feels right at some point, and then you just step away. I just have this like a standard of what I should aim for, and when I reach it, I can move away to some other track.
To other tracks, you say, okay, did that track, it's finished for me.
Yeah.
Okay, next question is a little bit particular. What do you want to say to young producers that they are going to discover this new word?
A new word? Or
Yeah, when there is some young producer, they just now joining the techno production.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to say then?
Suffer. You need to suffer.
Just one word, just one word.
Suffer.
You need to suffer.
Suffer. You need to. No. I'm serious. There are so many people who will just who will, like, okay, I want to make a track, and they will watch all these tutorials, which basically every tutorial is a person telling you, this is how I do things. And
after it's personal, not have the same effect for
exactly. So suffering includes reading the manual, finding your own way, which is a long way and full of obstacles that you have no idea how to overcome. But on this long way, you will get to see so many different things that you wouldn't see by just running through the path and being led by the hand. And these things that you see and encounter and discover, it's basically your choices that, like conscious choices that you make, like when you make a mistake or by accident discover something, your mind will go, I don't like that, I like that, I don't like that, I like that. And at the end of this road, you will end up with a sound which is you, instead of, someone sent me a track the other day and said, oh, I really like this. And to which I replied, if you had told me that this was this producer or this producer or this producer or this producer, I would have said, yeah, sure. I believe you completely. But if you send me a track by Surgeon and tell me this is Regis, I will instantly hear that it's not Regis, but it's Surgeon. So if you really, if you're in it because you want to make music and you want to make good music, and you're not in it because you want to be famous and to be loved because you're up on the stage, then you need to suffer a little bit, because at the end you will use the suffering to create something that will bring both you and others so much more joy than you would otherwise if you were just like a collage of other people's preferences and music choices.
Thank you. It's really a particular answer because you touched many points that now in our scene we are dealing with many people, with many DJs that I don't want to name because this is not my job.
Yeah.
There is another question from the chat. What do you think about this Discogs game where some specific records get 10 times more expensive as some famous DJ starts playing them?
I don't know. It's for me, it's exciting. I miss the hype around records. There used to be, when I started going out, there was this huge hype around records where you would, like, for example, Jeff Mills' The Bells, right? Everyone likes that track, and if you play it, the place will go off. But not everyone had the record. So you have to be really, really lucky to end up grabbing one of these records. And also, you would book people based on what records they have. Because I can now book a single person and they can literally, in the same week, do like a techno party, a house party, a wedding with like Romanian, pop mashup creations.
That shitty thing.
and then end up like playing an ambient set in the woods, which is great on one hand, but on the other hand, I miss the exclusivity of like, get that guy because he has the rare fucking records. There used to be there's a certain thrill of finding the record you're so long after. There's a closing track of one mix that changed my life, and I really, really, really loved it, and I chased it for like 5+ years, and I ended up finding it in a supermarket in Paris somehow, and then forgetting it. Someone's saying Moko is on my gear. No, that's Pikica. This is Pikica, and Pikica is sleeping in the chair and just having a shower.
You are disturbing him with your stream. You must go out from your room.
Yeah. So
it's the cat room.
This is their room, as is the other room. Anyway, there's a certain thrill of like finding the record, and finally holding the record, even though I don't play records and parties anymore. I do collect records which are not techno. I actually have a project called DJ Strana Muzika, which translates into DJ Foreign Music, where I just bring my non-techno record collection and play at people for like 4 hours. So I still, for example, there's a record by The Alchemist called Israeli Salad, which is very hard to find and expensive. And every time I'm in a record shop, I will go to the hip hop section and I will check for the Alchemist section, because to buy one on Discogs, it's like 200 euros or something like that. There's also an album.
It's crazy sometimes, Discogs.
Yeah, but it's obviously worth it.
It's understandable. Also understandable when
yeah, this
there is some rare AP, some rare album.
Exactly.
Maybe there is just 50 copies in the world because the other are all older or.
I paid the most I paid was 80 euros for a record which is not even an original record. It's so Coil have had this album that was released with a very, very limited edition, and there was a little illustration in the booklet. And then some Russian bootleggers took that illustration, stretched it across the entire record, and released it as that. And this record has very much influenced me, and I love it to death. But I've always seen that Russian bootleg version of it. And I remember being in Munich, running into a repress of that record, original repress, and the artwork was different, and it was like 20-30 euros, and I was like, I'm not gonna buy that. And then and then I bought the bootleg, and literally as I was buying the bootleg, I went to Discogs to check the prices of the repress, and the repress is like now 150 euros, 200 euros, etc.
Okay. That's, you get the best price, I think.
Yeah.
And it's good.
Yeah,
sometimes also you are lucky.
It's
not
crazy.
Just unlucky period.
But I'm super happy about that purchase. I'm very, very, very happy about it, and I'm super happy to to pay more. Right now, I don't have money for records, but it was recently my birthday, and people were like asking me what to buy me for my birthday, and I really want the Black Keys album, the newest one. And someone asked me what record it is. It's the Ape of Naples, and it's Coil Ape of Naples. Anyway, the Black Keys record, I could get it for 20 euros plus shipping, but there's a version for 45 euros, which like everything is the same, but the vinyl is pink.
Ah, okay.
And,
So with that,
and I really want that, but it's
shut up, take my money.
I really want that one. So I'm holding out for that one and hoping that I get a gig and I can afford the pink vinyl version before it sells out, because it's just this thing that
it's about a collection. When you have some passion, you want to collection.
Exactly.
All the thing.
Exactly.
I understand very well.
Yeah.
Another question, maybe you can answer. Which software and hardware do you use when you produce?
I use Reason Studios Reason for most of my production. I rarely use hardware. I do have a lot of hardware behind me, as you can see, but I don't. I've bought this hardware as therapy and as a learning experience. The thing is that I make the mistake of, first of all, I tend to overthink things. And also, when I'm making music in a software, I approach it cerebrally. So I use my conscious part a lot, and I use my eyes a lot, which is very bad. Like, whoever has DJ'd with records for a long time, where you don't have anything to look at, and then switch to a laptop or CDJs, and now suddenly has a screen to stare at, knows exactly what I'm talking about. There's a completely different feeling to it when you don't have the visual input and you're just feeling the music with your ears. So the hardware is basically therapy for me. First of all, when COVID started, I just had anxiousness for making music, or like having an end goal of making music. So the hardware that I bought, like all the money that I earned throughout the pandemic, I just put into gear. And I also sold some of the old gear that I had, which was too complex, and just bought something simpler. So I really enjoy jamming with hardware without any purpose. So I don't want to finish tracks. I don't want to release tracks with your hardware. I just want to jam. And for that purpose, I have the TR-8S, which I absolutely love. It's super complex. Not super complex, but it's very easy to play with. But it can become very complex if you want it to. I have the SH-101. I have the KeyStep Pro for sequencing. I have the Syncussion clone. I have the Digitone. I have a Yamaha AN200, which is a fabulous analog modeling synth, very, very fat sounding. What else do I have? I have the ESX and the EMX, the Korgs, which are, one is a sampler and the other is a synth / groove box. And I have a bunch of really cool effects. So I have a few mixers as well. I have the CR1604. I have the Boss BX800 and the BX8, which are all for distortion. They're all legendary techno mixers where if you add a lot of gain to it, you will get overdrive distortion, but you will not lose the punch and the definition. Yes.
Okay.
I have 3 compressors. Don't ask me why.
Okay.
I mean,
Chad, please don't ask why you have three
no.
compressors.
One is one is a leveling amplifier, so it's for bus compression, and then the other one is sort of a VCA compressor, so it's for fast and snappy. And then one is just like a workhorse that is nothing special but can do many different things like gates and expanding and limiting and stuff like that. I have the Quadraverb, which is a legendary reverb, very cheap to get, and has a sound which doesn't muddy up the mix. It like all of the effect goes somehow in the high end and doesn't take up much space, where reverbs can usually make everything muddy. I have the Ensoniq DP4, which is also a processor used. It's called Ensoniq DP4, and it's used.
Okay.
It was used by a lot of techno heads in the 90s. It was like the poor man's H9000, the harmonizer, the legendary harmonizer. And I have some Boss effects from the 80s, which also have been. I actually went for them because I saw at a picture that Scanner posted that Coil were using some of these effects, and I was like, okay, if Coil use these effects, I have to use them, and they're super crazy. It's very easy to make something very glitchy on them, and very fucking weird. And I also have 2 filters. I have the Vermona filter and I have the Walder 4-pole filter, which is basically it's also a distortion unit. It's they call it the French house filter because it has MIDI. You can program the filter movement and everything, but more to the point, it has a very nice overdrive distortion, which doesn't push everything in the middle, but rather to the high end. So if you want to create a hard techno track that has a lot of melodies and bass line and stuff like that, you use that rather than using the CR to distort the signal. So I do have a lot of really fun gear and I have a lot of fun with it. But if you hear a track that I've produced and made, it's come from reason.
Okay. Another little question for you. Which artist or artists influenced you in the past?
Okay, that's a very, very vast question. An easy
Yeah,
answer
that's
would
right. But
be
feel free also to name just one or two. I understand that maybe there is 1 hour talking just about the influence.
yeah. I would say Surgeon Regis, Grovskopa, Luca Bauman. Those guys influenced me a lot. But also Ben Sims, Mark Broom, James Ruskin, obviously. But then there's like I listen to a lot of different music, and I actually draw a lot of influences from outside of techno. So, for example, I've been listening to a lot of Tarantellas. In the past 2 years, I've listened to a lot of Moroccan music. I've listened to a lot of alternative, like Balthazar and the Brian Jonestown Massacre, are some of my favorite bands. A lot of pop as well. Like Timbaland, I fucking love Timbaland. Timbaland has the best rhythms ever. He's just like he's a beast when it comes to creating
I
groove and
think if you reach that level, there is also some professional skills that you have.
yeah,
It's not just about going popular or mainstream,
yeah,
because if you just going popular or mainstream, you just going with the trend. You're going up little time, but after going down. But if you remain up for this all this time, I think there is some skills also in the pop music or which genres it
yeah,
is.
yeah. It's like I said, good music is good music. Um, so someone said Balthazar. Balthazar. There's like here's the new album that I got for
Okay,
for
Balthazar. I
but
found the Bandcamp site for.
they're very very good. They're very emo, but very good music makers. Asked me, Susa asked me, what do you think of Muslim Gauze? I think it's good music. That's all I can. That's all I can see. Say
Please, can you send me the name or like this? I send the link in the chat for the
Balthazar.
guys.
Um, wait.
Also for Instagram, where do you prefer?
I'll send it to.
The Discord?
I'll send it to Instagram.
Okay, thanks.
So Balthazar, I'll send a few tracks that I've really enjoyed in the past. So for example, Brian Jonestown Massacre, Anemone. That's one of the by far the best tracks, like psychedelic rock tracks, San Francisco psychedelic rock tracks.
Okay.
Don Pizzica. This is a Tarantella that I absolutely adore, and that entire album I really love.
I will send all link in the chat like that. The guys, if they are curious, they can check the links and
Yeah,
listen.
sure. And just one more from Tina Riven, who are barbers. They play traditional barber music with the additional of the American blues guitar. So
Really particular. Also, this kind of this genre.
it's just good music, and it's just like random YouTube clicks and stuff like that. The other night I was playing StarCraft, and I just typed in Warp Records, and Warp Records apparently they make like weekly playlists of music that they love. So now I have a new source of also hearing some like most of the stuff I will not like, but then some of the stuff just stays with me, and I add it to my favorites list and stuff like that.
Yeah. Also, I usually listening to some Also, I usually listening to other music, like for example, the Every Corporation. I don't know if you
Yeah, of course. The thievery, the richest man in
something
Babylon.
like Moby. I'm trying to discover always some new sounds, some new things, because I think it's important to discover music.
Yep.
Another little question. Okay, what is one of vintage gear you wish could own?
The H800, the harmonizer. I think that's absolutely so. There's a certain synths are synths, sure, but effects can make your dull, stupid synth sound like absolute magic. And the H9000 is just it's just a fucking beast. Like everything you do with it just sounds good. And it has all of these different effects like reverb, like it's basically, it has similar structure as the DP4 and the Quadriverb, where you have the unit has different different effects inside of it, and you can chain different effects. But
Okay.
in the end, you get like the product of all of these chains, and you just get some crazy fucking sound. Or just
It's going. This machine is giving. This not machine. This hardware is giving a good quality of the sound that you
yeah.
produce.
Yeah, it's just the Midas touch. It's one of these things that if you if you if you put it on anything and do whatever with it, it's just gonna sound amazing. It's just Midas touch. It's an amazing piece of gear. You can still get it. It's not like it's really super
How
hard to get.
expensive?
It's very expensive. Wait,
Uh,
let me quickly check if
I also want to.
it's Eventide. Let me see. No one is selling anything in Germany. eBay.com. I should actually check for reverb. And okay, this is the next gen. They're apparently making new ones as well. The 9000 is around $7,000. The 8000 is also very good. It's $6,500, etc.
Could you
It's
please show me the link if you find it?
sure.
Because I tried to search H800, but I don't find it.
Let me hello Moko. Let me send you like a demo of it.
Okay.
So Jesus Christ. I just heard 3 seconds of the video and it's already I'm losing my shit. I'll post it in chat here as well.
Okay, thank you.
It's just so complex, and also the thing on top of it, which is the MFC42, the Akai filter. I would love to have that as well. It's such a cool thing, but that is actually attainable. You can get one of these in Berlin for like 800 euros or something. But if I had to just pick one and price wasn't an object, I would go for the H9000.
You will not, you will not let it escape. If you find it, I think you will get it.
No, if I find it, I will so much let it escape because I don't have that much money. Like maybe if I become super super famous, EDM DJ, maybe then I can buy it. Like, be an
Maybe,
EDM
yeah,
DJ for 5 years, and then I can basically just get all the money I need for the equipment that I want, and then I just move back into techno.
There is just a little question. Maybe I think it's also the last one. After I let you free. After you can do what you want. Okay. Now I'm starting a little project with the other three friends, and we started a label. Last time I sent you also some tracks that we are working on, but we are not the producers. The producers is other guys. What you want to say as someone that many stuffs, many things about this business, maybe?
I actually don't know much about releasing. I don't have a label and I don't run it, and I think it's very tricky business. And I keep shying away from starting anything of my own because I think I would have to either go full on or not do it at all.
Yeah, it's true.
So I'm not really sure if I'm the guy you should be asking for any advice. Um, Except for maybe like a good formula for the first few releases is get a few various artist releases, because that way you get several artists promoting the release upon its release. But that's not good for the artists, because then the artists don't like, if you want to have hype points, you have to have your own release. Just one track on the release doesn't give you any hype at all. Like, you release
Yeah.
music, yes, but it's not your release. Like, if you open up Discogs, it's not going to be listed under your releases. It's more under appearances, which no one clicks. And also, this is one of the main reasons why I don't do various artist releases. I tend to put too much time into one track, and then to just give that to someone where I literally like it's a public it's public knowledge by now that people don't really earn any money from their production except for like charging for remixes. Like 95% of me earning any money from my production is through remixes, and
Yeah, just through remixes.
yes,
Okay.
sales are very hard to cover because of the cost of vinyl production, and also the press that you have to pay to mail out the promos and stuff like that. So usually it's a really it's a tight spot for everyone but the lucky few. So if you are set on moving forward on the label, especially if it's a vinyl base label, I thank you, and I wish you luck, because we need people like you. But I'm the wrong person to ask, because I really I
No,
don't
no,
know
no,
much.
no, 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 no. Just some your opinion, because maybe you have some contact with label when you release it some track. That just these little tips, not more.
I have a
Uh,
question in my chat, which is, what was your happiest musical accident that you can remember? An artist you found about completely randomly, a friend mentioned it, or a related on YouTube, SoundCloud, a random track on a compilation. Um, I can tell you two. One is discovering Balthazar and Warhouse and Jay Bernard, which are all the same people. Um, and basically, just from the first click towards now, it's just hours and hours of listening to that band. But the second more important one is, I remember going to, so we would have this record shop in my home city where new records would come in on Friday because the guy who was working there is Hungarian, but he lives in Serbia. So in the time where the borders were closed, we still have borders everywhere. But he had a connection so he could pass the border with a bunch of records and not get taxed for them, and we can buy them at normal rates. So he would come on Friday and bring new records. And at that time, I was really, really out of techno. Techno sort of became this hyper-produced, shitty, grooveless thing that was just, I really, really got bored from it, and I switched to progressive house, and I was buying progressive house for a while, back when it was good, and tribal, and all that kind of stuff. And then I went to the store, and by chance a Rico record on Theory on Ben Simpson's label was playing, and I remember, no, actually I first heard it in a mix at a friend's place, in a Marco Bailey mix. The track was called Thickness. I was like, this is like nothing I've ever heard before. And then that record appeared in the record store, and I was like, And even though it wasn't in my set, I bought it. And this is saying a lot because I used to, like, I would buy max 10 records per year because I was a kid. The dinner is worth nothing. I used to go to school with my pants ripped in more than one place. It was quite embarrassing, but I would rather buy a record than new pants, and I would skip buying lunch to buy records and stuff like that. So buying this meant that I really, really liked it. And Rico then opened up, okay, where's more Rico? On Emergence Records, okay, who's this Luca Baumann? That's really good music. And that sort of pulled me back to techno, and those were, even though there's a lot of really, really good techno these days, at that time where minimal was everywhere, and I've sort of, techno disappointed me, running into these people who were making something out of this world and so next level was something that undoubtedly changed my life. Not like, okay, now I have this music to listen to, but changed my career, changed my choices, changed who I am and where I ended up. So I would say that was the biggest thing that sort of was a happy accident that influenced me or impacted me. You're muted. I don't hear anything. Skipping lunch for tickets? Yeah. That's it. I still can hear you. I have no idea what's happening. Sousa just redeemed the reward, turn on the mic, you doofus. Which is usually, I have this as a reward on my Twitch channel because I don't, I sometimes forget to turn on my mic, and I end up having long monologues without anyone hearing what I'm saying. I still don't hear you. No. Oh, okay. So you send me a message on. No, I did not mute you. There's no actual. Yeah, you're not muted here, and my audio channel. And like, let me just try quickly playing something. Yeah, I hear Winamp, so my desktop isn't muted. Let me quickly check for
It's
There you go.
okay. Wow.
I can hear you now.
Now you hear me?
Yeah.
I just going inside setting. I don't change nothing. Just open setting. You hear
Amazing.
me. It's okay.
Amazing. Does your chat by any chance have any more questions?
Yeah. They say we hear you. That's why they also were. They don't understand why you don't hear me.
Yeah.
Because they are hearing me.
Yeah, that was weird.
Okay, it's okay. Before you talking about your childhood when you prefer to buy records than spend money for or other thing,
Yeah.
I think that there is the difference between someone when choose a way because he love that way, and someone he lose this way, he choose this way just for some few stupid reason like maybe money, get famous, and this thing get popularity. Maybe this is, I think, the difference between someone that he love that way.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people are saying that gatekeeping is a bad thing, and sort of the democratization of music is a good thing, meaning that everyone these days can just download software and start producing music or playing music. But I'm not sure that that's true, because the people, the narcissists who just want to be famous and to be the center of attention, which DJing does give you, back in the day, like 20 years ago, if they saw a DJ and they were like, they had a thought of, maybe if I was a DJ, I would, be the center of attention, they would then calculate, okay, you have to buy turntables, which are not cheap. You have to buy a mixer. You have to learn how to beat match, which is a year of your life. You have to then continuously buy new records, which is like 10 euros per record. And if you have more than one track that you can play from it, you would be lucky. And then they would just like say, okay, I'll just buy a guitar and learn a few chords, and then I can be the center of attention. And they would just like, to put it politely, they would fuck off of our scene. And people who
play.
Yeah.
No, play. Talk. Sorry.
Yeah, just like people who really, really, really cared about it were into it. And then a few people who were obviously fake, and we all laughed at them. But these days, there's so many of these people who are fake, and they are good at making money. So if you call them out, you will instantly be called a bigot or be put down, or like I think that there's actually like an interesting thing that came to my mind 2 years ago, which is when I started going out. It was basically it was the underground. Which, if you say this to kids today, they don't really know what it means. Because most of them started clubbing by going to huge fucking parties, and the underground is not really.
Yeah, most of them starting like this. Also, just listening some playlist on YouTube when they type in techno, but after you're listening Michael Bibi, it's not the problem that the DJ, but YouTube sometimes YouTube playlist is not exactly true about the genre of music. This maybe is the problem.
So the thing is that by underground, I mean we really valued and dug for quality stuff, and the really good music was appreciated. The pioneers were appreciated. The resistance towards selling out was really appreciated, and stuff like that. And then at some point I realized, like, it was the underground was the main thing, and then occasionally you would have the corporate thing, and we would fought against the corporate thing. And I realized that actually these days the corporate thing is the main thing. And instead of like 20 years ago, I saw the corporate as the cancer, which is eating the underground from inside out. And these days, I actually see the underground as the smaller part, which is the cancer trying to eat the corporate from inside out.
You said something that it's true. The underground now is the cancer for the society. Yeah, for the society, because people using now this name also wrongly, maybe they just put underground before or after something, and they're thinking that the product it's underground.
It's underground, yeah. I mean, it's. I see so many people who put themselves in front of music, and not just like one spot, but for the first 10 spots is them, and then the music. So I sort of realized at some point that I have to make. I'm not in a position to be super pure, so I'm trying to play the game of the corporate mainstream. I'm trying to stay active on social media and to post, photos of myself, which I usually don't like doing and stuff like that, because I know that in this corporate world, this opens the doors. And then when the doors are open, then I will play John Starlight, Blood Angels to kids whose ears will bleed, and some of them will like it. And for those, for that 5% of kids who like it, I will be there, and I will be happy that they exist and that I had a chance to play
it. All alone, they will like it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Okay. This is really the last question, because I want to know if you play some instruments.
I finished elementary music school and I played the guitar. I won some award on the Republic level, or however you state level. And as soon as I finished the elementary school, I just sold my guitar and never touched it again. If I wanted to play it now, I wouldn't know how to. And I'm thinking, I was thinking between learning how to play the sax or the piano, but I think the piano is more practical because of playing on all the keyboards and stuff. So I think, Republičko takmičenje. Thank you, man. Now everyone will understand when I say Republičko takmičenje. Thank you. That was very helpful. Anyway, I'm thinking about learning the piano, and I'm actually thinking about it right now, but I literally don't have the funds to buy a proper
and start
piano and then start the sessions. Yes. So once, hopefully at some point, parties open up, I get some actual income, and then I can start learning this, because it's useful and it's tactile and it's completely different from just putting things in the piano roll, and it's human, and you get to
getting another feeling, not the same feeling when you play the real piano and the virtual piano on I don't know exactly, maybe with the Reason or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a whole different dimension, and it's also something that it's like learning a language. You like everything you learn will open up a new window for you, where you get to see that there's more than just the 2-3 windows that you have open in front of you for your entire life. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But right now, if you ask me to play anything, I would just I tried going before COVID started. I tried going for drumming, And
Uh-huh.
ironically, my M-by dexterity is very shit. Like the control of both of my hands at the same time, it's so
It's not
bad.
easy, the coordination between hands and, and feet. It's not easy.
Yes, but I think I'm especially anti-talented. I think I just can't do it. I went for a few months and then COVID started, but even if it didn't, I think I would make a progress of a snail, and I just don't. I will never be a drummer, and which is ironic because I'm obsessed with rhythm, and I really like creating complex rhythms and groove and stuff like that. But yeah, it's
But
sort
not
of
with
funny.
drums. No, 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 not
No,
with the.
no, no, no.
Let's stay on the gear. It's enough. It's enough.
It's enough.
So, like, I want to say thank you for giving me your time. I'm really grateful, and it was a pleasure for me and all the guys that is following us. And also, after this streaming will be uploaded on YouTube.
Yeah.
I hope when I find a video editor, I will upload it.
Okay, okay. Thank you for having me, and nice to speak to you. I've seen you around the channel, and we've been in touch for a while, but now we finally spoke.
I will always, as always, following your channel when I'm free, and I also hope one day you will release something with my label.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Doug. Thank you again.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and thanks to all of your viewers for joining us. And yeah, I'll see you around.
See you around. Thank you very much.
Bye bye.
Good night,
Good night.
guys. I
Good night,
also
everyone.
say good night to your stream chat.
Bye bye.
To your channels. Good night. Good.